Imagine this: your daughter walks into a new school, nervous but full of hope, only to end up in a hospital bed fighting for her life, because of a few cruel kids who thought bullying was just a joke. Stick with me till the end, because this story will shake you to your core and remind you what happens when a mother's love meets injustice. And hey, if you believe in standing up for what's right, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, because stories like this, true, raw, and powerful, deserve to be heard. It all began when Emily Carter, a 16-year-old girl, transferred to Ridgefield High. She was quiet, artistic, and carried herself with a calm that made her seem a little different from the others. Her father had passed away in a car accident 2 years ago, and her mother, Laura, had moved them to a new town to start fresh. Emily was excited. She wanted a new beginning, maybe some friends, maybe a place where she could belong again, but the hallways of Ridgefield High were not kind to newcomers. Especially not to those who didn't fit in. From her very first week, a group of girls led by Megan Doyle, the self-proclaimed queen of the school, began to make Emily's life miserable. Snide comments about her thrift store clothes. Laughter when she tripped in the cafeteria. Fake whispers about her father. Emily tried to ignore it. She'd tell her mom, "It's fine, Mom. I just need to get used to it." But Laura could see the way her daughter's smile faded a little more every day. Then came that day, the day everything broke. It was after gym class. Emily went to the locker room to change, unaware that Megan and her friends had followed her in. What started as teasing turned into something darker. They pushed her, mocked her, called her names that cut deeper than any slap. Emily stood her ground, tried to walk away, but one of them shoved her harder than they meant to. Her head struck the locker. The sound echoed through the room, and she fell. When the teachers found her, she wasn't moving. The next thing Laura remembered was the sound of hospital monitors, the smell of disinfectant, and the sight of her daughter lying still, a breathing tube keeping her alive. The doctors said the words that shattered her world: "She's in a coma." For 2 weeks, Laura sat by Emily's side praying, begging, and breaking. The police called it an accident. The school called it a misunderstanding. Megan's parents, wealthy, influential, called their lawyer before they called the hospital. And that's when something inside Laura snapped: she had lost her husband. She was not about to lose her daughter, not to cruelty, not to corruption, and definitely not to silence. The next morning, Laura walked into Ridgefield High not as a grieving mother, but as a storm. She demanded to see the principal. She demanded justice. When the school tried to sweep it under the rug, she brought the media. When the district told her to calm down, she brought lawyers. And when they still didn't listen, she brought the truth. Laura released the security footage they tried to hide, showing exactly what those girls did. She went live on social media, holding up a picture of Emily in her hospital bed, tubes running from her body, saying, "If this were your child, would you still call it a joke?" The video went viral overnight. Thousands of parents across the country demanded action. Students started walking out of classes. Reporters camped outside the school gates. Ridgefield High, once untouchable, was now drowning in outrage. One by one, the bullies were suspended, then expelled. Their parents tried to fight back, but the community stood with Laura. Even some teachers who had turned a blind eye came forward, admitting they'd seen the bullying before and done nothing. But the story didn't end there. After nearly a month in a coma, Emily opened her eyes. The moment Laura saw her daughter move her hand, she fell to her knees, sobbing. Emily couldn't remember much at first, just flashes of laughter that weren't kind, faces that weren't friendly. But she remembered her mother's voice. Every night, Laura whispered, "I'm right here, baby. I'm not going anywhere." And that was what brought her back. When Emily finally returned home, her mother made a promise, not just to her, but to every kid who had ever been hurt, ignored, or silenced. She started a foundation, Stand Up for Emily, to fight bullying in schools. She visited campuses, spoke at assemblies, and changed policies that had failed her daughter. And soon, Ridgefield High became a symbol not of cruelty, but of change. Months later, during a school assembly, Emily walked on stage beside her mother. The entire gym fell silent. Her voice trembled, but her words echoed in every heart: "You don't know how strong you are until you have no choice but to fight back." I forgive them, but I'll never forget. Because forgetting means it could happen again. The crowd erupted into applause, some students crying, others hugging each other. That day, something shifted, not just in the school, but in everyone watching. So if you've ever been pushed, silenced, or hurt, remember this story. Remember Emily. Remember Laura. And remember what happens when love refuses to bow down to cruelty, because sometimes, it doesn't take an army to bring a system to its knees. It takes one mother who's had enough. If this story touched your heart, hit the like button, share it, and subscribe to keep these real, powerful stories alive. Because together, we can make sure no child ever has to suffer in silence again.